Hello everyone, welcome back to another vlog. I'm really glad you enjoyed my layover vlog from San Francisco, and now it's time for me to head back home. As I get ready, as always, we'll discuss one of the real-time operational considerations we face during ultra-long haul flights. Today's topic, fuel freezing at higher altitudes, especially during polar routes in winter, because at 35,000 feet, the outside air temperature can drop to nearly minus 60 to minus 70 degrees Celsius. So, what actually happens to the fuel inside the fuel tanks? As I was running through my flight documents, there was something that really caught my attention about our route today. We are routing pretty close to the North Pole. Cruising at 37,000 feet, the outside air temperature along this sector is forecasted to be nearly minus 70 degrees Celsius, and the fuel we are carrying today has a freezing point of roughly about minus 40 to minus 47 degrees Celsius depending upon the grade. Now, at a first glance, that sounds worrying. The outside air temperature is colder than the freezing point of the fuel. So, why doesn't the fuel freeze? To understand this, we need to first understand what aircraft fuel really is and how it behaves at higher altitude. Before we talk about fuel freezing, let's understand the basics. In commercial aviation, turbine powered aircraft use aviation turbine fuel. The most common types are Jet A and Jet A1. Jet A and Jet A1 are kerosene based fuels. They look similar to diesel but are especially refined for high altitude operations. The main difference between them is their freezing point. Jet A has a freezing point of around minus 40 degrees Celsius, and Jet A1 has a lower freezing point, around minus 47 degrees Celsius. Jet A1 is preferred for international and long haul operations, especially for polar routes because it can tolerate colder temperatures. The observation wasn't just mine, the rest of the crew noticed it too, and as we met for our discussion, it naturally became a part of our briefing. On long haul flights and especially polar routes, fuel temperature is something every pilot is aware of. It's not an emergency topic, it's a monitoring and planning topic. Fuel temperature is constantly monitored during the flight and the flight deck. On aircraft like the Boeing 777, the fuel temperature is directly displayed in front of the pilot. Pilots continuously monitor this value, especially during long cruise segments in very cold air. We don't wait for the fuel to freeze, we monitor trends and maintain safe margins at all the times. But here's the interesting part. Even when the outside air temperature is around minus 70 degrees, the fuel inside the tanks does not instantly drop to that temperature. Because temperature transfer takes time. Cold air doesn't magically turn fuel cold instantly, heat moves gradually, and that's basic heat transfer physics. Fuel has something called thermal inertia. That simply means it resists rapid temperature change. Large volumes of liquid take time to cool down. You can see our cabin crew already waiting for us, and that's the aircraft we are flying today. As we check in, we'll discuss another important factor about this issue. The fuel is stored inside the wings, and the wings are not just empty metal shells. The tanks are integrated into the wing structure. The fuel mass itself acts as a temperature buffer. Also, the wings experience aerodynamic heating, especially at high speeds. Now, God forbid, if the temperature trend ever starts approaching its limits, how do we manage it? First of all, this is extremely rare, but in aviation, we always plan for possibilities and not probabilities. For now, let me complete the pre flight briefing, and as we head towards the aircraft, I'll explain how we handle it in real operations. There are very specific monitoring procedures and very clear operational actions that we take, and that's exactly we'll discuss shortly. Before every flight, whether short, long, or ultra long haul, the cockpit crew meets the cabin crew for a joint briefing. Because once the aircraft doors closes, we operate as one single team. Usually, the captain conducts the briefing, but at times the first officer may also lead it. We talk about anticipated delays, en route weather, turbulence forecasted, and any operational considerations that may affect the cabin service. For example, if turbulence is expected, the meal service may need to be adjusted accordingly. Safety always comes first. Not only that, we also review protocols for technical, medical, or security contingencies. Everyone knows their role and everyone knows their responsibility. It's all about coordination, and once that alignment is done, we are all set. After the briefing, one of the cockpit crew members carry out the exterior inspection of the aircraft. This is commonly known as walk around. We carefully check for any physical damage, fluid leaks, tire condition, structural panels, and general overall condition of the aircraft. Even though engineering team inspects the aircraft regularly, the final responsibility before departure lies with the flight crew. We have now landed at Kolkata, and as I head to the hotel, let me explain how we manage fuel temperature if it ever starts approaching its freezing limit. First of all, fuel doesn't suddenly freeze. It's a gradual process and we monitor temperature trends continuously. The most common and preferred action is to descend. Lower altitudes have warmer air. Even a few thousand feet can increase outside air temperature significantly. If it doesn't work, increasing speed slightly can also help. Higher airspeed increases aerodynamic heating on the wings. That helps rise fuel temperature gradually. If required, we also adjust our routing accordingly. That is, we fly towards a warmer air mass, typically towards lower latitudes, closer to the equator. This can significantly get us out of extremely cold regions. And all of this is done while continuously monitoring the fuel temperature. We maintain safe margins well before reaching freezing limits. So, fuel freezing isn't about reacting to an emergency, it's all about anticipating trends and managing them early. Again, everything in aviation is layered: fuel selection, route planning, altitude management, monitoring, all working together. Now we have reached the hotel, and this is actually one of my favorites in the entire network. After a long sector, especially one involving polar routing and extreme cold operations, a comfortable layover hotel really matters. Good rest is a part of flight safety. Familiar place, familiar routine, it makes recovery much easier. After being up there for about 18 hours, dehydration levels can be quite high. The cabin environment is extremely dry. At cruising altitudes, even though the cabin is pressurized, the humidity level inside the aircraft can drop to as low as 10 to 15%. That's drier than most deserts. Your skin loses moisture, your throat feels dry, and sometimes the skin can even start cracking. That's why hydration is critical on long haul flights, not just for passengers but for crew as well. Water, rest, and recovery, just as important as fuel management up there. So that's all for today, guys. If you had found my content informative, do like, comment, subscribe, share, and hype. I'll see you all in the next one. Till then, God bless. Bye bye.